Hello everyone, welcome back to Trek A Day. Today we have another Star Trek book suggestion, this time from the Enterprise line. We have by J.M. Dillard, Surak's Soul. You are alone in the dark reaches of space, surrounded by aliens who do not understand who you are and what you are, and who will not accept your beliefs. Under such circumstances, an emotional human would feel lost, cut off, adrift, but Sub-Commander T'Pol is a Vulcan, and Vulcans control their emotions. However, no other Vulcan has served longer than a few weeks on a human ship. Has she, as others imply, lost her way? Pulled once again into one of Captain Archer's dangerously impulsive attempts to make first contact, the sub-commander finds her life threatened. T'Pol reacts, drawing her phase pistol and kills. It was a simple act of self-defense, but is killing ever simple? Has she forsaken the teachings of Surak, determined to be true to her heritage? T'Pol forswears violence. She tells Captain Archer that never again will she kill, even if ordered. Is she, as Archer suggests, endangering the entire ship? Bit of an odd case with the description on the back. It actually is slightly incorrect, which is weird, the blurb, and kind of gives the wrong impression about what the book is going to be like. From the back, one thing is that T'Pol is actually not killing in self-defense. She's actually is the first to react to save Hoshi's life, and so that's one little weird thing there. And it does make it seem, with the cover and the description in the back, that it's going to be very focused on T'Pol and her internal struggle. And while that is an important element to the book, it's not the overwhelming arc of the story. It's one of the main elements and one of the things that draw you in, but it's not told exclusively from the point of view of T'Pol, which is kind of the impression I would get from going into this, reading this one for the first time. This is not one that I read back in the day. I just read really recently for the first time. It's a really good read, though, and it plays out much like an episode of Enterprise. The books vary to a degree, not just in quality, but sometimes it feels like a story that would be more difficult to put on screen. The structure feels great for the book, the different format novelization, and then others that feel very much more structured like a lost episode, an A and B story, and just the style and the cadence of the storytelling. You could almost feel the commercial breaks and things. This is one of those that just feels like a missing episode, so definitely one I suggest if you like Enterprise, particularly episodes within those first few seasons. Before we get into the Xindi arc, a little standalone adventure where the Enterprise encounters a culture that has been just about entirely wiped out by some mysterious plague or force. They can't at first determine what brought this species to an end, but of course with the curiosity wanting to learn about these people and maybe learn what happened to them, they get involved in possibly a dangerous scenario. And that issue is further complicated when they encounter an entity that is entirely comprised of energy that seems to be benevolent, wants to help solve the mystery of what happened to the inhabitants of this planet, seems to be a helpful entity, and there is a bit of a mystery involved there. And so that's a really just interesting premise, and it's a lot of fun to explore without really spoiling anything. If you surprises, even though you kind of see them coming a mile away, they still really work within the structure of the story. And then one thing that kind of is the thread that branches it all together is T'Pol's struggle, as she has at this point been dealing with living amongst these humans and kind of adapting to them and her environment, and also trying to be true to her Vulcan self, and really, especially in this, exploring nonviolence and the Vulcan teachings that led to the great societal upheaval and then the change that brought about the modern Vulcan philosophy, and does explore that in an interesting fashion and delves into the mindset of T'Pol in an interesting way. So I really enjoyed that element, although it wasn't quite as strong as you would first believe. I actually feel like more time was spent with the larger picture of the mystery of this society that has fallen, and you do get the story from the perspective of all the different characters as well. Especially Captain Archer is, I feel like, just about as prevalent as T'Pol in this book, and everyone else, Hoshi, Phlox, the entire crew. You get a good ensemble picture of this story event, even though there is that central emotional element with T'Pol and her mindset. So definitely a fascinating book, one I suggest that you check out, especially if you like that sort of seasons 1 and 2 adventure of the week type isolated thing, very standard kind of Star Trek, and just an enjoyable read.